Welcome to episode 128 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC animated universe, co-created by Bruce Timm. I'm Chris Lord.
I'm Cameron Dexter.
And despite our best efforts to avoid talking about Zeta, we are back with Zeta this week. And I don't know about you, I'm actually kind of glad we're back to it. I enjoyed these episodes.
I think this would have been a great series finale.
See,
Make it one more part. Because they had like the small Easter egg. We'll get into it in a second.
It's okay. Interesting season or series finale. I would almost say like series premiere. I think this is kind of interesting.
Okay.
But okay, well, we will get into it. We'll do our usual news and ramble on about other things first. But no, I'm actually glad we're back to it with Zeta, especially of the madness of last week that was Hobbs and Shaw.
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing a Tokyo Drift podcast.
Jesus, like listening back to that, we were particularly manic. I think part of it was having Shane on.
I mean, it's always more manic when Shane's on.
It's always more manic when Shane's on. We love him.
But also, you both, do you want to talk about what you did beforehand?
I think I'll do that as my plug. It's a weird plug, but I'll get into in my plugs why I was so amped up on last week's episode. But don't worry, guys. I'm very tired this week. Energy's right back down to where it was. I'm weirdly lightheaded. I'm not quite sure why.
We went out last night, in a sense.
We did, yeah. But I mean, of sorts. As much as you and I go out, we went out.
Yeah.
So again, we'll get to that too, I guess, and plug so many things to look forward to later on this episode.
We are just stacking the end of this. We're being those annoying Facebook and Instagram videos that are like, you have to wait to the end to know what happens. Like, you won't believe what happens at the end.
I really hate it when I'm watching some adorable animal video that has been sponsored for me on Facebook. I'm like, oh, it's like a bunch of cute puppies. And then about 30 seconds into it, it starts to warn me that an ad is going to start playing soon. I'm like, I'm not going to keep watching.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care that I'm mildly invested in this story. I'm not going to watch an ad right now. So let's just keep on scrolling.
Or on Instagram, at least on Facebook, I can just jump to the end. And so I know, like, I'll just jump to the last 8 seconds.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, I got it.
As a lot of people do with this podcast.
Well, with Instagram, you can't jump videos.
Yeah, there's no forwarding option.
I know, and it's very upsetting.
Oh, God, get your shit together.
I mean, as someone
Instagram.
who makes content for Instagram, I get why they don't, and I'm appreciative that they don't. But as the lazy person that I am,
you don't want to watch that shit.
well, like, I don't know if you ever watch any like, oh my God, I don't know why I was just about to say anything live because that's dumb, but anything like live on YouTube or Twitch.
No.
I'm so used to jumping like 5 or 10 seconds ahead.
Yeah.
On YouTube videos now, and I'll try and jump ahead on live videos.
Just
like, fuck, this is boring. Just get to the stuff.
This is why we don't need live.
Right.
Let's move away from live. We had live when we were children.
Yeah.
And you had to like race the bathroom between commercials.
That's a relic of the past.
Exactly. We're in the future now. Give us.
Or you would like in elementary school and you'd brag to your friends about how good you were at turning back to the channel right as the commercials were ending.
Right.
I was very good at it.
Skill set you honed. I bet you were.
Yeah.
I bet you had the timing down.
I was very good at it. Cartoon Network, it was 3 commercials and you're back.
It's kind of like the theory that if a series of steps, if one step is just like by a few millimeters like taller than another, like you'll trip because your brain is just so programmed to like follow along. I imagine you were the same way with commercials, where if like one of them was just like a matter of seconds off from the other ones, it would just completely fuck you up.
Yeah. I would know if they added that 4th commercial in.
When they force that 4th commercial break into it, as they love to do in syndication especially.
Oh, yeah.
It's just jam it in there. They'll jam it in there, and then they will have the opening credits for the next episode play really at accelerated speed during the closing credits of the previous episode. Just like get that boom, boom, boom sequencing.
We talked about Nick at Night got in a lot of trouble for this recently, or not recently, but when we started the podcast, because I remember we talked about it.
I can't
early
remember what
on.
we just talked about 5 minutes ago. I just feel like I can't remember something from our first episodes.
Nick at Night got in a lot of trouble because they were caught speeding up their shows so they could fit in more commercials, and it was only slight, and people caught it on the because Friends was added to Nick at Night longer than that now, but a while ago, and people noticed the theme song was slightly pitched up. Oh, and so people compared it, and it was slight. Like they could fit in maybe one more 15 or 30 second spot.
Yeah.
But that's still like
that's all they wanted.
Yeah, FCC, they're not playing that game.
It's kind of like those sociopaths that listen to podcasts on like 1.5 speed.
How dare they?
I don't understand.
Should we just talk slower then?
I mean, I think we need to talk faster so they can't understand us. They have to go back down to normal speed.
Oh, that's true.
Because, and this is genuinely baffling to me because I know I talk fast and I actively work to try and slow things down.
Same.
Didn't try it all last week, but I mean, it's Fast and the Furious, man.
You gotta go fast.
Can't slow down.
Gotta be furious.
Can't slow down.
Can't catch
I'm going
me.
to talk fast. They're going to become furious. But I actively try and talk slower. I cannot imagine trying to listen to myself at an accelerated pace.
Same.
I think it would destroy my brain.
Should we try and talk faster this week?
Yes, we should. Forget that.
Yes.
Forget positive growth. Let's just dive into our worst habits and embrace them live.
Well, it's different when it's positive growth for us, but then
That's
when it's
true.
affecting others, that's when it's good for us again.
That's true. Let's force positive growth onto other people.
Yes.
Like the great Samaritans that we are.
Spend more time with us. We need friends.
This is all we have.
Yes. What news do we have this week?
All right. Because we haven't actually done news in a couple of weeks, we haven't yet talked about the Titans Season 2 trailer.
That's right.
Which is like, I guess, I mean, it's kind of a big deal, I suppose. How did you feel about it?
Well, I posted on Instagram about it when it came out.
Yeah.
I fell for their trap once again.
I mean, I'm falling for it too.
Every time. We have said it over and over again. If DC is good at anything, it's they know how to make a trailer.
They know how to market.
They know how to market so well. And this trailer looks so exciting. It's kind of everything that we wanted from season 1.
Yeah.
You got the team coming together. You got
Costumes.
You got costumes. You got the name.
Deathstroke.
Everyone kind of you got Deathstroke. Everyone kind of has their like quippy. There's Green Beast Boy in there.
Oh, that's right. There was. I didn't even notice that. You're right.
Yeah.
This Green Beast Boy.
Raven's, Cyborg's in there. Raven has the gym in her head.
Yeah. I think, was it a publicity shot or somewhere in one of the trailers we saw Nightwing finally in full costume?
I think it's in
that happened, right?
I think it's in the trailer. Yeah.
Because I just rewatched it again right before we recorded this. I think I may have watched like an abbreviated version. I think maybe the DC Universe, the longer like preview thing they had on there that did a recap as well may have shown it. But yeah, we're getting Nightwing finally. We got some Superboy.
Hawk
Crypto,
and Dove are back.
Hawk and Dove are back. Wonder Girl in full costume. Aqua Boy or Aqua Lad. I can't remember which they're going for here. More of Jason Todd, who was a character I think you and I both liked. I liked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we liked him.
Yeah, that's a pretty good characterization of him. Yeah, like more Starfire.
Yeah, so like we got, they gave us all the glory shots that we wanted. And then I watched it a few times and I got really excited. And then I remembered where we left off and how where we were in the end of season 1 has nothing to do with any of this.
Now, do you think they're going to just rapidly close out the plot threads of season 1 and just dive into something entirely different season 2?
I mean, they introduced Triton at the end of season 1. But you can't just end Triton like that.
But I guess, there is a way to have like Dick wake up from this like nightmare thing, and Raven is able to banish Triton back to the other dimension, and then he can still exist in some capacity. Like maybe he comes as like background lurking threat of, oh, he's always there. There's always a possibility he comes back, but then they just like close out his little mini story.
I could see it as opening it up bigger and having that be the overall story where he, Raven is like, hey, Dad, please let my friends go. And then they can start the 13-year, it doesn't have to be 13 years now, but the season 3 of Teen Titans when Raven has her 16th birthday. And that's when the portal opens.
Oh, okay.
They could have it where like, Triton's like, okay, you can have 6 months. You can have till your birthday, have fun with your friends, then you're mine.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of walks off. And so he's on Earth now, and he's like setting up his plan.
That could be interesting.
And so then the reason that this whole team is coming together is now they have a reason to fight together.
Mm-hmm. Like something's going to happen.
Yeah. It's like they need all the help they can without obviously asking Batman because he's way too busy for this.
Yeah. It was weird to see Ian Glenn doing an American accent.
It is very weird.
Especially because I couldn't even tell it was American until certain words. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I really like him.
We're just so used to him
Jorah
saying,
Mormont.
Yeah, Khaleesi.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my god,
My Khaleesi.
Please let him call someone Khaleesi. But I mean, I remember him from Tomb Raider, like the original Tomb Raider movie. He was the villain.
Oh wow. Oh, that's right. He was.
Yeah, dude, that movie's got a stacked cast.
Yeah.
I'm mostly referring to Daniel Craig.
Oh, he's the dad.
No.
No?
No, John Voight's the dad, because that's actually Angelina Jolie's real father. Daniel Craig is like so this is the funny thing, is that Angelina Jolie is playing the British Lara Croft, and Daniel Craig is playing the American like counterpart of hers, who's working for the bad guys, but it's like kind of a good guy. So then he gets killed, and Laura uses the time triangle thingy to turn back time.
What's the movie where Daniel Craig is the dad?
Back time.
If I could find my place.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just watched Back to the Future the other day.
It's such a good movie.
It's such a good movie. No, what's the movie where Daniel Craig is a dad? Or an uncle?
What?
Is he in Golden Compass?
Yeah, he's in the Golden Compass. I've never seen it, but
Is he the dad?
I've never seen it. I don't know, but he's in it.
I think he's the dad.
Okay, I was like, that one movie where Daniel Craig plays an uncle. I'm like, I don't know. You gotta be a little more specific than
No,
that.
I don't think so. I think he plays one role in one role. And so when he plays anything other than that one role.
Okay, off the top of my head. So obviously,
name me any other time he's played a dad or uncle or parental figure.
Bond, he was the main guy in Layer Cake, who like didn't have a full name, but I don't think he had any family in there. Mm-hmm. He was the son of Paul Newman
I'm going for.
in Road to Perdition, but again, I don't think he had any siblings. But he was like kind of uncle-esque to the main guy. That's another movie that has like a crazy cast. And you look back on it, like it's got a young Tyler Hoechlin before he was like beautiful and ripped as fuck. To be fair, same with Daniel Craig. Let's see what. I mean, he was in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. He was a father in that.
Okay.
He is a daughter in that movie.
But that's not his like his in Golden Compass, like that is his title.
It's just uncle.
Is father.
Just father.
Do you know have you read the books?
No, I've never read the books.
Okay.
I remember the trailers for that. They're like people are like spiritually tied to animals, right?
So their soul lives outside of their body,
in an
and
animal.
It takes the spirit of an animal, or it takes the appearance of an animal.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So when you're a kid and you kind of don't know who you are yet, your animal can continue to change shape just like you do.
Okay.
So then once you grow up and kind of are set in your way, you have a specific animal. Daniel Craig is kind of like this mysterious scientist who works out away from the government, because the government is trying to obviously control everything per usual.
Yeah.
And he's found a way to like harness the magic of the soul. It got weird. He opened a portal to another world at some point.
Of course he did. Wait, is the Daniel Craig role being played by Lin-Manuel Miranda in the new version?
They're making a new version?
Yeah, the Amazon show.
Oh, I forgot about that.
His Dark Materials.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot that's Golden Compass. Probably.
Yeah, or he's Lord Azrael, whatever. Maybe he's being played by. Oh my god, look at that fit. Oh no, the McAvoy. McAvoy's in the Craig role. Look at that fabulous beard he's got in this movie. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Do you have another news?
Oh yeah. I was just gonna keep listing Daniel Craig movie roles.
Craig talk.
Yes. I mean, be still my beating heart. Okay, speaking of fabulous beards, Ewan McGregor.
Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Is he doing it?
So there was a lot of reports this week that he was rumored to be confirmed. Like even coming from like Deadline and Variety, which at this point, like I always try and make sure at least it's coming from a major publication on these things.
Yeah.
Even their article is like Ewan McGregor may be back finally for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But these articles have been coming out for
a long
6 years now.
For a long time. So, I mean, I think we have talked about this a bit before, but the rumor is that he would be coming back for a Disney Plus series, which I actually think is the better way to go on this.
Oh, absolutely.
Rather than a movie, because one assumes he'll be filling in the between 3 and 4 space, which like people love to play in, and he would be on Tatooine. And I think if you try and do that as a movie, I feel like you are hampered by the pace and the structure of a film, and you have to build some sort of like big climactic thing. Whereas, oh my god, every week that fucking motorcycle. I wonder, like, maybe she like is always leaving for work Sunday mornings at
I guess
10:45
Maybe
when we're recording.
Yeah, maybe we should keep track of that later. It's 11 o'clock. Keep that in our notes.
I'm gonna go buy a whiteboard.
Yes.
We're just gonna start tracking every time.
Are we gonna become? Oh God, what's the study of man? Anthropology.
Sure.
Yeah. We're gonna become anthropologists. The study of neighbors.
Just for my neighbor who rides a motorcycle.
Yes.
But okay, I feel like if they're gonna do more with Obi-Wan, I think doing it as a Disney Plus series is probably gonna work better.
I have a weird pitch for you.
Okay, please.
Hear me out on this.
I love a weird pitch.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
Spaghetti Western.
I mean, that's kind of the rumor, right? That's what everyone's been wanting to see for a long time.
I thought it was unique and creative.
No, sorry, not this time.
Okay.
I mean, as a person, you are very unique and creative, Cameron.
Thank you.
And I'm still very distracted by that beautiful mustache.
Thank you.
Because what you have going on right now is you actually have the Star-Lord facial hair going on. Because you have still distinct scruff, almost the point of beard, but a more prominent mustache.
Well, I can't do just the mustache.
I mean, are you But are you going to?
I feel like I have to.
I think you have to.
I do. I don't want to because I haven't been clean shaven in so long.
But you won't be entirely clean shaven because you'll have the stash.
Well, yeah, but I'm gonna get rid of it the next day.
Then you'll just like.
That must be
okay. So you'll be clean. Like, how long does it take you to grow in facial hair? Like, if you were to clean shave, how long?
I don't know. It's been years since I've.
Also, this is news. I consider this news that you have a mustache, so we're talking about it.
Yes. I mean, no photos have been up yet, but photos will be up.
Yeah. Well, you got your kickball
Friday
championship.
Saturday. Oh yeah, and that. Yeah.
In a couple days plus D23.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's fabulous. Mm-hmm. So much beard talk today.
So much beard talk. Oh, speaking of timing of this podcast, my big news that I want to talk about, that we want to talk about, because we've talked about this movie for so long this year.
Yeah.
We continue to bring it up. The day this podcast comes out, Booksmart will be out on digital.
Booksmart, the patron saint of Timm Talk.
Yes. The safe haven of 2019.
I mean,
the shining shimmer of hope.
It's been both of our movies of the year.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be fair, my movie viewing pace has slowed down of late. But yeah, I haven't seen anything yet that even really comes close to it.
Mine has not slowed down, and I can say nothing has come close to it.
It really hasn't been a fantastic year for movies, has it? I mean, Endgame, obviously. Mm-hmm. Booksmart.
Yeah.
And with that is our tease for our future year in review podcast.
Yep.
Happening in just a few months. But okay. But Spaghetti Western, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think it's a great idea. Mm-hmm. I think he is the best part of those movies. So I recently rewatched the prequels.
Okay.
Because as it's well documented on this podcast, I love me some film scores.
Yes.
And one of my major go-tos is the Star Wars scores.
Because isn't the joke that the worse the movie, the better the score?
With Star Wars? Mm-hmm. I would say...
At least that's how it was until 7 and 8. And Solo.
Yeah, 7 and 8, the score is like okay, but a little bit forgettable. And Solo, the parts of the score that are only really good are the times when they're calling back to like the Falcon theme. But I mean, I don't think it's entirely true because I still think the best score is in fact Empire.
Okay.
Which most people's standards is also the best movie. But rewatching the prequels, I will say the only one that is passably good, Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
It's I always thought that Revenge of the Sith, like in hindsight, I was like, oh, that one was actually pretty solid. Went back to it. It's terrible.
But that fight scene.
The thing is, the fight scene's not that good. It's not that good.
Oh, you shut your mouth.
I just rewatched it.
I don't believe you.
I just go back and rewatch the whole movie. Okay, this is the other thing too. You can't just watch the lightsaber fight. You have to rewatch the movie in its entirety. It's the only way to really take it in proper context.
Is the movie longer than 8 minutes?
Yes.
I don't.
Yes, it is. I know that's challenging for you. Cameron watched it on 5x speed.
Can I just play through the Lego Star Wars games again?
Yes, that is an acceptable alternative. But that final fight is definitely way over the top. And part of the problem is they intercut it with the duel between Palpatine and Yoda, which isn't good. it's just not good. And it's weird because through most of that movie, Ian McDiarmid is actually doing a really good performance of like slowly oozing the menace back into his into the character. But then he just goes like really lampoony at times, and then especially in that sequence.
Well, because it's two very CGI things bouncing around a room.
That's part of it too. Yeah, it has no like,
it's so rubbery.
It's so rubbery. It has no emotional weight. And I think part of it just comes down to them not strategizing how to like lay out that character well, because they set up that Palpatine is obviously Sidious in the first one, but they never actually comment on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to do this as a separate episode at some point. We'll have to do Timm Talk presents the Star Wars films, and I'll get into it properly. But that being said, to wheel back my tangents here, Attack of the Clones, only passable one, also has the best score hands down.
Across the Stars.
Across the Stars is one of the greatest themes ever made.
Oh, yeah.
And that movie has just fucking amazing music all the way through. Wheeling it back further, Ewan McGregor is like the consistent standout positive part of those movies.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think any more of him we can get in that role is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of Disney Plus,
yes.
One last piece of news on my end.
Yes.
A series I didn't know was in development.
Right.
That kind of took both of us by shock.
Actually, I knew it was in development.
Okay, it took me by shock.
Not any sort of inside thing. I knew it was in development because they announced it when they announced Disney Plus.
Oh, I didn't realize
We even
that.
talked about it briefly on this podcast.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about it
anyways.
again for another brief moment. The Love, Simon TV series that's going to appear on Disney Plus has casting.
Yes.
And one of the cast members, which got us really excited, is Cuba Gooding Jr., who was the love interest from Booksmart.
Yes.
And so we were getting the crossover of the Booksmart world and the Love, Simon world. It's very exciting.
It is. I mean,
What's his actual name? I feel bad.
I'm looking it up.
I feel like it's like an S.
Here we go. Variety. My God, he's handsome. Oh my God, just give me his goddamn name. Well, okay, Michael Cimino has been cast as Victor. Victor's a new student at the school who's going through his own journey of self-discovery and will eventually come out. Anna Ortiz will play his mother. Nick Robinson will narrate the half-hour series in addition to being a producer.
Mason Gooding.
That's a good role. Okay, Mason Gooding, yeah. Yeah, he was gorgeous AF in Love, Simon.
Booksmart.
That one. He's also going to be gorgeous AF in Love, Simon. Man, I'm super thirsty on the podcast today, aren't I?
I guess so.
Man, woo!
And you get to use some water.
Yes. I got some right here. It's all good. No, I'm super excited about this. We both loved this movie. It was my movie of 2018. I don't think it was yours.
It was my top
super high
5.
up. It was super high up. Yeah. I think this is an interesting way of doing it too, to like keep it in the same continuity and rather than doing like a expanded remake, which is what I kind of assumed they would do. Mm-hmm. This is pretty clever.
Yeah, where he's like how did they describe it? Simon is still in it loosely, but he kind of runs like the dating. He like runs a section of the newspaper.
Yeah, it's like he has like a Dear Abby kind of column.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And so this kid is writing to him to get advice, which again, that's like it's a pretty clever way to spin this off.
Yeah.
And I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say this in 2019, and I guess this will probably be 2020 when it actually comes out. But the fact that Disney, a company that I think maybe hasn't been progressive enough when it comes to queer characters, is doing this on Disney Plus, I think is a really good sign.
Yeah.
I think that company in general has been making pretty big strides in terms of representation in the last few years.
Well, I mean, now that they know they can profit off of gay days at Disney,
but they've known that for a long time. So now they're just like doing a bunch of rainbow Mickeys and stuff like that. And look, and that is in of itself appreciated. And I've had this conversation with a few people before that I actually think as weird as it sounds, in some ways, the corporatization of Pride is not a bad thing. I mean, you do muddle the purpose a little bit, but it also means that companies are realizing that they have a financial interest in being inclusive, which is the only reason companies ever make decisions.
Yeah.
So cynical though that may be, I'll take it.
I would. Well, I think it also for Disney. Did you know the show? I think it's Andy Mack.
I've heard of it.
There's a lot of backlash at Disney for this because it was the show. I think that's what it's called. Let me double check that. Yeah, Andy Mack. It was the show that had Disney's first openly gay character.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And after he came out, the show got canceled.
I thought you were going to say he got killed.
Yeah. No.
In classic...
In classic Disney fashion.
In classic narrative fashion, let's introduce a queer character and then either kill them or their love interest.
Yes. It's the equivalent of, I have something to tell you next time I see you.
Yes. And then they get hit by a bus or a piano drops on them or something.
Before they even finish the sentence.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so Andy Mack had Disney's first openly gay character. Show gets canceled shortly after that. I don't think they had anything to do with each other. But obviously, people want to speculate they have stuff to do with each other.
Yeah.
And so I think having this show come out is kind of Disney's way of being like, hey, no, we didn't cancel it because we made a gay character. We canceled it because no one was watching this show.
Yeah. Well, and again, if we're looking at it from a slightly shrewd perspective, Love, Simon did well.
It did very well.
It did really well, which, again, just warms my cold, dead heart.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it. Okay, I have one other last piece of news.
Okay.
And then we'll finally get into our topic at hand here. This one has nothing to do with beards.
I'm not interested in that.
Shockingly. But
Mutton chops?
This was interesting. It was announced this week that with Birds of Prey.
Oh, yeah.
That Chad Stahelski, John Wick director Chad Stahelski, former Keanu Reeves stunt coordinator, or double and coordinator, I forget. But I mean, someone who knows his way around an action set piece.
Yes.
Really well. Has been brought in to, it's unclear if it's consult or actually properly direct action scenes from Birds of Prey. And I am of two minds about this.
Yes.
Because...
Share them.
I will. I will share both minds here.
Okay.
Like a two-face.
Do you want to give them voices? No, I don't want to.
No, let's do this. No, I'm on board with this. Okay, so my rational voice is going to be my standard voice.
Okay.
And my rational voice says, okay, this is a smart move. We like the work of Chad Stahelski. He knows his way around action set piece. He's a fantastic director. Bringing him in to do some action punch-ups, I think will be good. Would love to see a DC Universe film or DC Extended Universe film really focus on maybe more action choreography rather than just like big over-the-top absurdity. Mm-hmm. But then the skeptical part of me, the sort of person who go, well, actually,
nope,
well,
no, Chris,
well, actually, I think,
Chris, I'm killing this bit. I'm not a bit killer, but I'm killing this bit. I was hoping for like a Cockney or anything that wasn't that, but that's unacceptable.
So
no,
what,
Chris?
My skepticism on this. If the more you say no, the more I'm going to do it.
I'm not letting you do this.
The skeptical side of me finds it interesting that they've announced this with Birds of Prey specifically. Mm-hmm. Because we have Kathy Yon directing it. So female director on a huge action movie. And they have gone to the effort to announce that bringing in a male director to punch us in the action sequences. I feel like this is something that isn't normally done with these kind of movies. I mean, it's pretty common for someone like a Colin Trevorrow to come along and do a Safety Not Guaranteed and get bumped up to doing Jurassic World. You say something about Rian Johnson. Like there's a whole string of people that have done this. James Gunn, Marvel's done this a lot.
I was gonna even say the Russo brothers.
Yeah, Russo brothers, James Gunn.
People don't just go from Arrested Development to Winter Soldier. Yeah,
exactly. So this is a pretty common thing that these guys get bumped up, and usually when this happens, the studios are smart and they pair a newer big budget director with really established ADs and producers, and their heads of department are really, really well established folks. I think it's very interesting that they're making this announcement.
Yeah.
It gets me both excited, but it also makes me go like, why? Why did you feel the need to have to announce this in particular? I don't know. Am I overreading into this a little bit?
No, I mean, no, because the negative voice is so much louder than the positive voice in the sense of like, I'm sure there's people online being like, I would never go see an action movie or a superhero film directed by a female director.
Yeah.
How can I trust a female director to know how to do blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's the same argument that's been happening for all of time.
I know, which is ridiculous.
So it's in a way, not hurting. I mean, it is hurting, but on the big scale, it's not hurting the female director of saying like, we gave this movie to someone else, but it's still giving the negative voices the victory.
Yeah, I guess that's the part of it that has me a little bit concerned, is that it feels like it's meant to appease a little bit. And I'd rather have them kind of stick to their guns. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm reading a lot into it. I think at face value, I think this is good news. I think it shows that they are going down a cool route with this movie.
Mm-hmm. It also shows that they're like putting in the effort for this film, because a lot of people have felt like DC has not been really putting in their best guns.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy thought. So, I mean, look, we are always hopeful when these DC films are coming along. We have generally been burned. But you do get the sense with each subsequent film, like maybe they're starting to kind of learn their lesson a little bit.
They're learning something from this.
And this is one I'm actually pretty excited about. It's a really fantastic cast. Again, very excited that for a female-led action movie, we have a female director. And, let's bring in some Chad Stahelski and get some good fight sequences in there.
Yeah, let's just get a good movie.
Yeah, let's just have a good movie.
Yeah. Again, Ewan McGregor. It's going to be great.
Okay, that's true. Oh, God.
You could have done a great segue.
Well, I was so focused on beards, all right?
Does Black Mass not have a beard?
He might. Yeah. I mean, we assume his face is going to get all fucked up at some point.
Yeah.
Actually, no, the production movie.
Do you think that's why he puts a mask on, is someone shaved him with that?
And he just didn't want to wait for it to come back because he hasn't been clean shaven in so many years.
Yeah. I'd wear a mask.
All right, let's do it now. Let's finally get into Zeta here. Mm-hmm. And so this is in fact
the first and only two-parter.
I think it's the only two-parter, and this is the season 2 premiere, kind of officially. Mm-hmm. There was some doubt on our parts about that, and actually, we'll just do this now rather than we get to notes from friends. But let me bring up something that Maddie sent along, kind of explaining a little bit. Oh no, it went away. Cameron, talk. Oh, okay. It came back. Never mind. Don't talk. Okay, he says, on the season 1 versus season 2 debate, Absolute Zero, our undecided episode from last or 2 weeks ago, aired as the season finale in Canada in December of 2001, but was held back until March 2002 as the season 2 opener in America.
So we're both right.
Yeah, so it's kind of we're both right. Great. A little bit.
Thanks for being the wishy-washy intermediary, Maddie.
It's what, you know what? Oftentimes, the most informed person must fall somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to defend him on that. But, I mean, look, I think it's pretty clear, though, that episode was intended as a season 1 finale, because the whole point of season 1 was trying to get to Selig. They finally meet him. It kind of tees up some stuff for season 2.
But which boat was I in? What did I say it was? Did I say it was season 2 intro?
Whatever was wrong, let's say that was yours.
Hey, he just said we're both right.
So, and also the fact that it had the original intro with the season 2. We now have a new intro sequence.
Oh, yeah, the version I'm watching doesn't have intros.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I bought this on DVD.
You did. I see it beautifully on your shelf.
Sitting over there. And the interesting thing is this includes Absolute Zero at the top of the playlist, and it does list it as season 1 finale.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting, because we were talking a little bit about this with Absolute Zero, that could have been a really good pilot episode. And you do kind of feel like that episode was teeing up a change a little bit. I think just in terms of like their pace and their tone, visually, and I think it's carrying through into these two, which I found them not great necessarily, but I found them enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like they felt like
they were just below the like median Batman Beyond episode.
Yeah, they feel like they are decently baked. Mm-hmm. Like, they're fine. I think this is on par with a lot of the shows that were airing at this time. And I think we've just been comparing it to very exceptional shows also from this era. And then I think season 1 of Zeta, to be fair, was maybe a little bit lesser than some of those. Mm-hmm. But this feels like it's kind of coming together in a nice way. Like, I liked these. I like these a lot. So we are of course talking Wired parts 1 and 2 here. Like you said, the only two-parter. Kind of odd that it's a two-parter.
Yeah, because that kind of goes. I'll go back to my argument that I had at the top of the podcast. If they wanted this to be a 2-parter, I think it should have been a 3-parter at the end of as a series finale.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep the hacker side of it, which I don't think you need to, I think that in its own was a very boring episode. So part 1 is all about this hacker group. You know, they're Hactivists is what they.
Yeah, they were the Hactivists before that was a term.
Yes. So they save
hipster
Ro.
Hactivists.
Yes, they save Ro and Zeta from Bennett, and they're like, "Hey, we're huge fans, very creepy fans."
Yeah, where one of the guys, it took me a minute to realize what was going on, but he wears a shirt that makes him look like Zeta-ish, and then the other guy, your very prototypical overweight, awkward teenage nerd, is
Okay, so they were teenagers.
They're teenagers, right?
Aren't they? There was a joke where the guy obsessed with Ro, he takes her to his bedroom.
Where so not only is he wearing a version of Ro's shirt in several sizes larger.
Yeah.
But he has a wall covered in clippings and photos of her, which, where did those even come from?
Well, they said he said he hacks into like police reports.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Video surveillance.
But he locks her in his bedroom. And he has a line where he's like, "No, you can stay here. I'll take care of you. My parents don't have to know."
No, he doesn't say that. My parents won't mind.
My parents won't mind. Yeah, sorry, that's what it is.
Yeah. Which is significantly less creepy. Still creepy, but still less so.
So I wasn't sure from that line. I wasn't sure if that meant that he was still kind of a teenager and lived with his parents, or if they were playing into the nerd trope where he lives in his parents' basement.
Well,
quote unquote.
So I think kind of both were happening because
then I remembered that she's 16.
She's 16. I think he is a teenager. It's possible they're like out of high school. Maybe they're like late teens, maybe even early 20s. I think they're college age.
Okay.
More or less. Like they're kids. I think they're still by most definitions kids. But at the same time, I think
Youths. I'm taking control of this edit.
The same. Oh, by all means, it's all yours. You're welcome to it. Do you have 2 hours this afternoon? It's all yours.
No, I got kickball.
But at the same time, where the base is of their technological Robin Hood, their hacktivist headquarters, that is, I think, in someone's basement. Because when Zeta's trying to escape, he's running up a flight of stairs. So it is in a basement. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they seem like they're going to be fans. They're going to be helpful. They're like, oh, we just want to get to know more about you. You have all these access to all these places we want to go. And then Bucky warns them because Bucky is now their like sidekick of sorts.
He's their Wade from Kim Possible.
Yes, exactly. He's the man in the chair. Yeah, that's what Peter calls Ned in Spider-Man, right? Mm-hmm. He's their man in the chair. He's their child in the chair. Which is something Maddie had talked to us about. I think he had mentioned that was where it was going to go.
Yeah.
Which is fine, I guess.
Yeah, that's whatever.
They seem to have like toned him down a little bit, which is good. But he warns Ro, and then we quickly realize, oh, the Hactivists are going to take Zeta apart to learn all of his secrets so they can hack into bigger and better systems. Which I liked that twist on it.
It's a good plan.
It is a good plan. Like their plan, it makes sense. Like, oh, if we can get this infiltration robot, he has the ability to hack into stuff we don't. Seems like they're pretty good at it already, but sure, he's better. I liked that there's that twist of them being set up as heroes, only to be undercut. I thought they were going to have more to do, though.
Same. Because since it is a 2-parter, they are gone in the second part.
Yeah, which I was really surprised by. Like, I was expecting Ro to have to team up with them to try and get Zeta back. Mm-hmm. I mean, were you expecting that too?
Yeah.
Were you glad they didn't fall into the really obvious trope, or are you kind of disappointed that they didn't execute something they seem to be teeing up?
Say that one more time.
So, because like I was expecting the classic like, oh, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or like, oh, you guys fucked up and put us in a bad spot, and I'm gonna make you feel guilty about it, so now you should help us. And that's what I was expecting that to happen. That classic thing of like, oh, the villain turns hero because they have a change of mind, they have a change of heart.
Yeah.
I was expecting that. So the fact that they didn't do it, I was kind of pleased by.
Or even okay, so here's what I thought from the beginning of part 1, and it's my first time thinking about this, so run with me for a second.
Okay, please do it in a different voice.
No, they are fugitives. They got in the way of a a government,
an NSA pursuit.
Yeah, so they are technically doing illegal acts.
Yeah.
So what if at the end of part 1, they also were taken with Zeta?
Oh, interesting.
And so now they're also in NRA headquarters.
NRA headquarters?
What are they in?
The
NSA headquarters?
It's NRA headquarters. It's Charlton Heston's frozen head in a jar.
Yes.
Isn't there a lobby?
The NSA headquarters. And so now Ro is in there, and the bigger guy is like, "Oh, my love, she's come to save me."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "No, I need you guys to help me. There's all these other robots here. Help me reprogram them."
Okay.
So then you have this huge breakout of kind of robot and human. Because also when the robots came out, it's like, send in the prototype droids. And I understand why they're so prototype droids, because they can only shoot in like straight 90 or like straight shots.
Yeah, the robots aren't very good,
No.
they? No, like that's an interesting idea. Yeah, if they had been like maybe
because they also just showed right before those two, they showed other Zeta style droids.
Yeah.
And they were not unleashed.
Yeah, there was a lot of them seemingly setting up stuff that they deliberately didn't play off of. And so like in episode 1, it's the idea that maybe this hack team will join them. Mm-hmm. And the second part of it, yeah, it's all the infiltration robots that never really play out. I wrote something else down too. I guess we'll get to it. But one thing I did like about these episodes is there's very, very subtly laid in some Batman Beyond DNA here, which is something we were talking about based off a note from a friend from Maddie about how that's generally not present. Like, it's weird because this is set in the same universe as Batman Beyond, but there's very little crossover between the two of them. And there's 2 small things in these episodes. I don't know if you caught them. But one is in the basement when Zeta's trying to escape after they've partially disassembled him. He like knocks over a table hockey game, and on it are the figures of the like hover hockey they play at Hamilton Hill High.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's a small little thing, and the other thing was in episode 2 when Ro is on the vid phone and like the face comes up, basically like the static video comes up to tell her.
Yeah.
It's the same like blue
as the news reporters.
Yeah, like the blue like opaque sort of like silhouette thing as the news reporters. I'm like, I liked they had those little things in there because it just feels connective now in a way that it hadn't before. And they're subtle, and they're not really played out in any sort of like plot manner, which would also be nice. But I was like, all right, I like to have that in there at least.
So going back to what how I think it should have happened for finale.
Yeah.
Give it the part 3. So at the end of part 2, Zeta's evil.
Yes.
Not evil, but back to his manufacturing settings.
Right.
Don't have that change so fast. I remember looking at how much time was left in the episode when he's still evil, about to attack Ro, and there's 4 minutes left. And I'm like, wow, so they're really going to wrap this up in the next 3.5
really are. No,
minutes.
you're right. That's another thing they kind of teed up and didn't really execute.
So that's when you could have that. If you wanted to, you don't need to have the hackers in part 2. That's fine. End of part 2, Zeta's still evil, and now he's out on the run.
Yeah.
And now the NSA are back on the hunt. Ro has to go to the other hackers and be like, hey, because of you, he got caught. Because of you, he lost his memories. I know you have it on your computer already.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they'd be like, well, Zeta fried it. He's like, I know you have backups, blah, blah. You find a way around that. Now she has to team up with the hackers to race the NSA. Maybe they can even have West in there. Like, West thinks he's an undercover agent, using it to bring Ro to Bennett, but actually Ro is using West to get to Zeta first.
I like that. That'd be really good. No, I think okay, that's actually a good point because when I was thinking about these episodes, to me they seem like a good way to set up a start of the show because he turns evil again. Mm-hmm. Like this is something we've talked about in season 1 is that they never really establish the stakes of what he used to do. Now, admittedly, this is a very targeted kids show. I mean, this is way more kid focused than Batman Beyond ever was.
Right.
But this, I liked that they attempted to show what he was like when he was a full-on infiltration robot.
He had red eyes.
He had red eyes. So they basically just made him out to be a Terminator. And we're basically like well into part 2 at this point. We're kind of talking about him simultaneously. But after he's captured by the NSA and taken back to the lab, and they're trying to erase his memories. And when they're there, they also find this like random module in his brain that no one has been aware of up to this point. So like that's kind of an interesting idea too. Like, oh, who put it in there?
Well, then now also the NSA feels like, or Bennett feels like he's been right this whole time.
Yeah, he feels justified.
Mm-hmm. He's like, someone's been messing with you.
Yeah.
I've been right because you're not wrong, but how do you describe? Like you think you're in the right.
Yeah.
Because someone else is messing with you. Mm-hmm. Because there was something in your head that was not done by us.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? I agree with you. This would actually make a really good finale. I'm jumping ship.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, mainly just because like you get to see all the transformations, and I feel like that's always such a nice finale. Is like you bring back that whole voice cast for one line,
right?
Zeta says something as every character. I had the fun idea of making it like a rat race kind of thing.
It's a race.
The end of part 2, Zeta's on the run, and now you have Boy Genius, trying to get to him. Mm-hmm. You have the other infiltration robot trying to get to him.
Oh.
You have the NSA. You have the hackers. You have Ro. You have the bounty hunter.
That would be fun, actually. Have everyone come back together.
Yeah.
And you raise a good point too about everyone kind of going through some changes. Because I do like that idea of maybe Bennett reaches a point where he's like, look, I believe you. Like, I've been chasing you long enough to realize that, like, you are trying to help people. But that is against your programming. And we now have evidence that there is a part of you you're not aware of.
You have been tampered with.
So even if you are doing something good, this might be a part of a plan that you aren't even aware of. And so you still can't be trusted. And you're right. And then he has real justification for it. It makes Zeta doubt himself, makes Bennett doubt him. And I think at some point it should make Ro doubt him too.
Yeah.
Like I kind of wanted him when he was in full on infiltration mode to be really threatening. Like this is a robot who should be able to like move lightning fast. I didn't like that they did the Terminator thing of him being very slow and deliberate. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted it to be like, oh my God, we cannot possibly keep like pace with him. Like we try to shoot at him, but he is so fast and he's so nimble that he is like untouchable.
Yeah.
Like he is designed to spring into action at a moment's notice, and that is why he's so dangerous. And we now finally see why it's such a big deal, and Ro sees why it's such a big deal. And I like that your idea too about Ro having to go to the hackers to fix him.
Yeah, because then it's like she could be like, if it all goes wrong, I need you to shut him down.
Yeah, like she has to make some hard choices. And I think part of it too is I really don't like that trope of a robot that has human willpower. Like we've talked about that great episode of Teen Titans before, where Cyborg remembers that he is still human. Mm-hmm. And so he can push himself to 110%. That makes sense because he's still human. I don't like it when a robot can suddenly actually push themselves to 110%. Like I don't like when Zeta can just out of sheer force of will struggle against the programming that's like trying to wipe his mind, or struggle against the constraints that are designed to hold him in place. Because that doesn't make sense to me. Like he should be a robot. You shouldn't treat, like it's weird to say this, you shouldn't treat his strengths and weaknesses like a human. You should play into him being a robot. Like even in part 1, he gets partly disassembled. I'm like, oh, maybe they finally found a way to give him a weakness. Mm-hmm. In the same way we always talk about Superman or Terry being too strong and they have to like do weird things to make him weak. This would have been interesting of, oh, well, he's less capable because he's partly disassembled. So he's trying to reassemble himself on the run.
Yeah.
I was excited
And
to
he's
see
exposed.
them. Yeah, he's exposed. Like, he is now much more vulnerable. I was excited to see them do something with that, but instead they just had him rebuild himself instantly. And to me, that was a bit of a letdown in terms of some really cool storytelling.
You could have had it where like someone tries to take a shot at Ro and he tries to jump in front and Ro's like, no.
Yeah, it's like
you can get hurt now.
you can. And I wanted to see a justification for that. And that just could have been a cool thing, but you're right. Like this could have been actually a pretty solid finale. Now, I mean, that being said, did the stuff they tee up get you intrigued? I won't go so far as to say excited, but intrigued.
I am very curious
keep
about what's in
watching.
his head.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea. I just watched this. I can't remember. Did Zeta tell Ro that was in his head?
No.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because that was the other thing is, because again, I looked at the time when Zeta turns back to normal, and Ro's like, "How did you do that?" He's like, "I'll tell you later." There's a minute and a half left of the episode.
Yeah.
I'm like, when are they going to tell him?
We got to tell her.
Yeah. And so it's in the last 20 seconds. He's like, oh, well, as they were deleting my brain, I was copying it and putting it in this other folder. And just kept doing that as they were erasing part of it and just moving that folder into the new empty space.
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess that kind of makes sense.
It felt like a bit of a cop-out. Mm-hmm. And I think part of the challenge is you and I are watching this show, honestly, 20 years after it aired.
Yeah.
Very close to 20 years after. And the storytelling now is a lot more sophisticated. So we're approaching this going, oh, I want to see like more seasonal arc things happening. I want to see them really like dive into the psychology of these characters.
But I mean, they were doing that in Justice League just years later.
And they were. But at the same time, Justice League had the benefit of a creative team that had been working on this stuff for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I think this
with already established characters.
With established characters, and they were able to do a lot more experimentation with format, and it was already a success.
Yeah.
So they were able to go into it being like, hey, let's start out by having every episode of Justice League be a two-parter. Mm-hmm. Like, that is, if you think about it, kind of a bold move.
That's very bold
for a kid's cartoon. Like, you are in like establishing necessary continuity for something that even is still mostly episodic.
Yeah, for a show that will be syndicated.
Yeah.
As all cartoons are.
Exactly. So, I mean, they essentially just took a half-hour cartoon and found a way to make every episode a full hour. Mm-hmm. That's bold. And stuff like Zeta, I think, was really limited by where it was airing and when, and the fact that it wasn't super popular, so they weren't taking real risks on it. And again, like, just the storytelling of the time.
Yeah. Quick tangent really fast. I was watching a video from the channel I plugged a few weeks ago, Nerd Stalgic.
Okay.
And he was talking about Nickelodeon death slots. Because every channel has like their death slot.
Yeah.
And most of it's either like a Friday night. Nickelodeon has two. Mm-hmm. So they had one that was at 9:30 at night, which was the last show before Nick at Night started.
Yeah.
And they had one which just seems so evil. And it was the 6 a.m. slot.
Jesus Christ.
They would have new shows come on at 6 a.m. as like the permanent death slot.
I mean,
like, that's so mean.
Okay, were you awake at 6 a.m.?
No.
Yeah.
Not even I was awake at 6 a.m.
No, and like, you and I both tend to get up kind of early. I think even as a kid, I would get up maybe around like 7, maybe 7:30.
I remember I would get mad because normally Saturday morning cartoons would start at 8.
Yeah.
And I remember always getting so mad at myself if I got up at like 7. Because I mean, they had an hour of paid programming first.
Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
I need to wake up at 7:55.
Yes. That was always the goal. Oh, but not only was this a 6 a.m. slot, this is a 6 a.m. Sunday morning slot.
Ooh, no,
yeah.
no.
I remember because the other new slot was 11 a.m. Sunday morning, and I hated that slot.
Yeah, that's way too late.
Yeah.
You had me from like 7:30 at the earliest to maybe 9 at the latest. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, I got Legos, man.
Well, I mean, Kids WB was 8 to 11.
Okay, yeah.
And then you'd switch over to Fox because Fox was 9 to 12.
I'm so glad you remember all of this.
Oh my God, it's still instilled in me.
Yeah. No, I mean, what were we talking about with Zeta?
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
I don't know when this aired. I'd be very curious to go back and see what its time slot was.
So on the very legal way that I'm watching this, it still has the bugs on it.
Okay.
So I have the Cartoon Network and Toonami bug.
Yeah.
So obviously this aired during Toonami.
Yeah.
So it would have been a Saturday night show.
Okay.
And normally, if it was, since this is a Warner Brothers product, it would air on Kids WB first, and then about 3 months later, it would go on to Cartoon Network.
Okay.
So I mean, if it made it to Cartoon Network, it must have been moderately popular.
Yeah. I can see more so now the potential of this show after these last 3 episodes.
Yes.
To just feel a little bit tighter, a little bit more purposeful.
Oh, also, the other big thing that they kind of glossed over, and I hope they talk about this a little more, we know Selig still works for the military.
Yeah, because he... he's like under...
Because he has a higher pay grade than Bennett.
He has a higher clearance than Bennett, and now he's like under deeper protection because they know Zeta's after him.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting. What was I going to say? Damn it. I had a thought. I don't know.
Okay.
Must not have been very important.
I'm trying to think. Oh, so we haven't touched on the updated animation very much.
That's what I was going to ask you. Okay, because you made a comment the animation style felt weird to you, and I was curious what you meant by that.
So it felt... I'm surprised you weren't caught off by this. It felt very anime. They have the big eyes. They have the...
Yes, I think
it's very anime eyes.
Okay, maybe I didn't necessarily pick up on the anime aspect specifically, but I was more just noticing that it felt crisper than it had before.
Yes, they had more solid lines. They had... Some shots were weirdly shaded and others weren't. That caught me a little off guard. But while the style looked okay, the animation looked great.
It did. A big improvement.
There was one shot in particular where Ro is like swinging from above and hits the 2 guards down below.
Yeah.
Where the camera like not only follows her, does like a pan tilt as she's falling down.
Yeah.
And I was like, I almost paused it and was like, wow, that took some money, because that's hard. Like, that's not cheap animation.
No, it is. And I mean, we've been kind of for a bit to some degree like kicking the show a little bit.
I mean, it kind of deserved it.
I mean, kind of, but I think what we've always found frustrating about this show is the lack of execution on its potential. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a good idea here, and you just kind of feel like the effort wasn't made. And that's not entirely a fair way to describe it, because obviously like everyone who worked on the show was working super hard on it. And I think they probably weren't getting a lot of support from the studio necessarily.
Yeah.
But it's, it was always just like the writing was always kind of easier choices, or there was a lot of logic holes. The animation just felt a little bit weak, or the characterizations felt a little bit like undercooked. I think for us, that's the frustrating thing, because you and I love cartoons, you especially. And like, there is a great appreciation for, entertainment targeted at kids that is good for what it is. Like, my definition of a good movie, and I think it applies to a good TV show, is, does it know what it wants to be, and does it succeed at being that thing? And I think this show maybe didn't quite know what it wanted to be, and also wasn't able to execute on it fully. And I feel like now you just get the sense there is more effort. Maybe there is a bit more budget. Maybe there is a bit more confidence. And I would rather have that. Like, we always would rather watch good stuff than bad stuff, Fast and the Furious aside.
But I mean, that's good in our eyes. That's the difference.
Yeah, but you and I also are both big supporters of good, bad entertainment.
Oh, yes.
We were just having a conversation about this last night, that you and I will both sit down and watch Batman Forever, Batman and Robin before we'll ever watch The Dark Knight Rises. Because there are good, bad movies versus bad, good movies.
Exactly.
And a bad, good movie is boring, but a good, bad movie is entertaining as fuck.
Well, kind of going back to the show knowing what it wants to be, obviously this is a kids show directed towards a young boy audience.
Yeah.
And you can't have a pacifist... I mean, you can, but it's very, very hard to keep an audience excited when you have a main character that's doing everything in his power to run away from a fight.
Yeah.
And so in this show, in these episodes, they kind of worked around that, one, by making him evil, but that's beside the point. But two, by making Ro a lot more active.
Yeah.
She had a full chase scene where she was running away from the cop, and it was a fully like fleshed out, not just her hiding in a corner or in like a trash can, like her running away, doing some stunts. And then it's her, doing action scenes in the NSA headquarters.
She has to infiltrate.
Yeah. Yeah, she has to be Zeta.
Yeah.
And so you kind of cover up Zeta's passivity with Ro's assertiveness.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I've always liked her as a character, just kind of underutilized. Mm-hmm. So like maybe this is heading in the right direction.
Well, I'm still gonna say pretty, not negative, but cautious.
No, I think caution is fair.
I've been hurt too many times, Chris.
You've been burned way too many times.
I've been burned.
But no, I quite enjoyed these. Like I'm trying to think of any other little things I really want to talk about.
Yeah, I haven't actually looked at any of my notes yet.
I did think it was interesting when he goes back into kill mode. The first thing he does is to try and grab his guns, which are obviously thrown away. I like that little moment.
It felt very similar to so this is what I thought it was at first. In the same way of Superman versus the Elites.
Okay.
I thought it was Zeta faking that he was back to his normal self because he never actually hurt anyone.
Oh,
kind of in a sense.
I see. Like okay.
Yeah, so it was him acting evil to play Bennett's role, to play the role that Bennett thinks he is. Because the only thing he ever hurts are the other robots that, to be fair, are very poorly built and needed to be disassembled.
Yeah, they're fucking terrible.
And so I thought when he saw Ro, he was going to do some kind of like cheeky, like one eye would go back to normal, wink, and then both go back to red. And be like, I am the ultimate killer. Yes, I am the ultimate infiltration robot. Fear me, for I am death incarnate.
Okay, so I got a question for you. Has any movie or show done the Iron Giant thing as well as Iron Giant, where like the robot becomes a pacifist, momentarily turns evil, and is like brought back to being good again by a human giving a speech?
By Superman.
Like, has any, because we both love the Iron Giant. That is a genuinely beautiful movie, and you're a monster if you don't cry at the end. But has anything else done that well? Because like this touched on it, and I don't think it necessarily did it perfectly, but it played into that trope of teaching a robot humanity. Like, has anyone else done it that well?
There's got to be an anime that's done it.
Yeah, I'm sure an anime has. Did with my Life as a Teenage Robot, did she have sort of like kill mode ever?
Not really, because I thought of Teenage Robot and I thought of Robot Jones, and neither of them really had like an evil mode.
Yeah,
I mean there was a mode where XJ9 is taken over by the Hive, but I think that's different. That's corrupted programming turned back to normal. I can't think of any.
I mean, Lost in Space did it.
Okay.
The Lost in Space movie, which I have a weird soft spot for, despite being this weird, like, pseudo-Burton-esque nightmares.
Yeah, I can't think. My mind keeps going back. There was the anime that kind of made anime popular back in the 60s. It was the predecessor to Astro Boy. And you've probably seen the character. It's this kind of big blue spherical robot.
Oh yeah, he looks like halfway between Genie and Astro Boy.
Yeah, kind of. So that was kind of the first like mech anime.
Yeah.
So this robot is controlled by a remote control that a boy holds. I'm sure in that storyline there has to be that trope. But I don't know enough about it to fully speak on it. Okay,
just curious. Mm-hmm. Any other like major thoughts on these?
Let me scroll through. The crazy fan wrote a song about Ro.
Oh yeah, that was
very just talking about him made me feel gross.
It's always a little bit uncomfortable when a show makes fun of a character that is very reminiscent of its audience. Because it always just feels like a little bit mean-spirited, a little bit awkward and ham-fisted.
Yeah. Oh, there's a new Agent Rush.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Who kind of intentionally, but also not intentionally, belittles West through the whole show.
He kind of deserves it.
He does. But that was interesting that she's here now. And Bennett has a whole team now. It's not just like the three of them. There were multiple agents in this episode. That's why I thought it was a good finale.
Oh, like
because Bennett finally has like
the resources behind him.
Yeah,
to make this happen.
Yeah, because we also learned in the last episode that he's not the top dog.
No.
And so I hope that comes into play a little bit, where like someone else in the government has an ulterior motive for Zeta that kind of gets in the way of Bennett doing his job.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Changing into everyone we've seen. Rose stumbles in the robotics lab. There's that female Zeta robot that they don't really do anything with.
Yeah. I did like that Bennett is starting to get wise to their means of escape. So he loses sight of Zeta and Ro, and then he sees a couple of the new infiltration models come into a room, but they are in their infiltration disguises.
Yeah.
And rather than potentially just like letting them walk away, he's like, oh, that might be Zeta and Ro. So he throws like that like force field grenade, and he's like, oh, okay, I guess it's not them.
And that's also a good cop-out weapon. When you can't have, you can't really do explode. I mean, they are government agents. They shouldn't have, what's the word? Damage to property.
Collateral damage.
They shouldn't have collateral damage. So now they have this thing. They kind of just, it's like it almost like freezes time.
Yeah, it just encases them in like a little mini force fields.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that tag. I like that he was starting to get wise to it and like not being a total idiot. I mean, he still lets them get away in a pretty obvious fashion.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, no, he doesn't see them in the car though. Because when he turns their back, they are disguised as piles of scrap metal.
That's true.
That's a good disguise.
Actually, pretty good disguise.
Because that's the disguise I wanted them to do in the last episode.
Oh, that's right.
They heard me.
They did. They heard you across time and space.
They did. But no, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about.
All right, cool. Let us dive into Notes from Friends.
Yes.
So, we mentioned some stuff from Maddie up at the beginning of the show. His additional info on whether Zeta was, in fact, a season 2 premiere or finale. And then we have a new follower, Kenny Crayley Jr., who just started listening recently and was liking a bunch of stuff on Instagram, and he sent us a tweet saying like, hey guys, I just started listening to the podcast. Great discussions on the DC Animated Universe shows. Looking forward to your Justice League and Justice League Unlimited discussions.
Thanks. We're also very excited to talk about those.
That's what I told them. Like, you and I are like dying to get to those because I mean that is where we get like really some of the consistently best stuff.
Nipping at the bit, as some people would say.
Yes, exactly. Some of the best stuff there. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we're getting to it in due time.
Yes,
due time being probably the better part of a year.
Yeah. But we still have good conversation for Static.
Yeah, there's good stuff in Static. I haven't seen that in a long time. Like Shaq. Oh my god, the Shaq episodes. Get ready for some real fast talking episodes. Shane's coming back for those. Shane, our only NBA guy we know.
There's so many sports episodes though in Static. Because there's the 4 to 6 Shaq episodes.
Yeah.
There's the 2 other episodes where it's the other NBA players.
Oh right, yeah.
Where we learn the NBA players use their money to build their own basically Iron Man suits.
Love it. Oh my god, I remember that.
Yeah, and one of them is Steve Nash, who was my favorite player growing up, and so I'm very excited.
Oh, we've talked about this because Steve Nash is one of the few famous Santa Clara University alumni.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who became an athlete only because his brothers were athletes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everyone in his family either currently is or is a former professional soccer player. And he's like, no, man, I don't use my hands.
With the exact opposite tack on it.
Yeah.
Hey, it worked out great for him.
Hey, it did.
Yeah, so then one other thing I want to start doing in Notes from Friends is people have been very kind to write us some reviews on iTunes. And so I want to, for the next few weeks, kind of read out one of them each week just as a thank you.
Yeah.
Because the reviews do help a lot. I don't know how, but everyone says that on the podcast.
Well, with our ego.
Mostly with our ego. I guess that has something to do with like statistics too. It's like the more positive reviews it gets, like the farther up in the algorithm, whatever iTunes puts it. I don't really know how it works, but regardless, it is very nice that people have made the effort to go ahead and say some nice things. And it's just a chance for us to basically talk about ourselves.
Yes.
Which is my favorite thing to do.
We're great at it now.
Yes, we are. God, we're so
good at this.
So good at this. So here we go. So a lovely 5-star review from Pugent. on iTunes. This is like 2017. This shows you how long it's been.
Great.
Since I've looked
I
at
hope
this
you're
shit.
still listening, Puchin.
I really hope you're still listening. I hope you still enjoy it. But they said, I love this podcast. Batman the Animated Series is one of my favorite series, and it's such a blast to listen in on these chats. Everyone is so knowledgeable and funny. Love it.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
We don't think we're knowledgeable.
Or funny.
But I'm glad that we can fake it.
Hey, fake it till you make it.
That's right.
It's the LA motto.
Yeah, and we've almost made it.
We've almost made it. But yeah, so I'll just like do one of those a week. But no, thank you to Pugent very, very much. We appreciate it. And thank you to Kenny for also starting to listen and writing in.
Yes, thank you.
So from there though, let us get into our favorite. I don't know if it's favorite segment. I always love some bat plugs here. What are you plugging this week?
I think I might have plugged this when I first started listening to this book, but I finally finished it, so I'm going to plug it again because I was hesitant when I started it. But I started this book called The Wizard of Earthsea.
Yes.
A very famous fantasy series from the 60s-ish by the writer Ursula K. Le Guin.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I finally finished it. It really picks up halfway through. I loved it. And particularly because I've never seen people write magic this way. I think we've talked about this once before on the podcast. Do you remember anything about hard magic versus soft magic systems?
I remember we had a conversation, but I don't remember the details.
Okay. So basically...
and also, can we refer to it as flaccid magic and turgid magic?
No.
Damn it. Okay.
So soft magic is Lord of the Rings style.
What about tumescent magic?
No.
Okay.
Because I'm going to forget.
Okay.
Soft magic is...
Rigid?
I can do rigid magic.
Okay,
Sure.
I have a lot of euphemisms in my repertoire for
Stiff magic?
erections. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyways, you're.
So soft magic is Lord of the Rings, where no one really knows what it does, how it works. It's just part of the world. It just is.
It just exists.
Yes, and there's some people that can use it. Some people can use it more than others, etc. It just kind of floats. And then hard magic is where there's kind of rules. Basically, alchemy is hard magic. Everything has, alchemy has the rule of equivalent exchange.
Yeah.
Avatar: The Last Airbender has a great hard magic system.
How would you classify Harry Potter?
That's kind of right in the middle.
Okay.
Where it takes a little practice, which is hard magic, but still can kind of do anything, which is soft magic.
Okay, so it's like a semi-soft magic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a presentation magic.
Okay, yeah. It's a shower magic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so speaking on this book, it was really interesting because it starts off being a soft magic system where a wizard, basically, once they've trained, the world is at their fingertips. They can do anything and everything with just kind of knowing a word or even just willing it, it happens. But as the book goes on, you kind of see the consequences of all of these magnificent things. And so it kind of transitions from this soft magic series to this hard magic. Like, you have to be very careful with what you do because these, when he first becomes a wizard, everyone's like, oh, can you do this? Can you do this? Like, I want to see this happen. And he wants to do it, but he doesn't know how yet. And so once he's finally mastered it, at the end of the book, all of those things that people wanted to see at the beginning, he finally does. And you see the consequences of, like using that kind of power hurts both him and everything around him.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it was, I'd never seen anything like that. And it was super fascinating.
Oh, cool. Is it part of an ongoing series? Is it a one-off?
No, it's a full series. But it's the Earthsea series.
Okay.
And so Wizard of Earthsea is the first book.
How many books are there?
4?
Okay.
6-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll listen to the next one soon.
We're checking out? All right.
I think so, yeah.
I'll give it a gander.
Yeah, and it's just a cool... The world building is a little tough because it's very fantasy-esque. It's him jumping from place to place to place to place and just saying a word.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, we're at Tandaroth. Oh, we're off Tandaroth? Okay. I'll try and remember that for later.
I mean, I've heard Tandaroth is lovely this time of year.
It really is.
So, yeah, it's like between summer and winter. So it's just
Well,
it's
also,
got a crispness to the air.
So the world is based on an archipelago. So everything is always everything's just like a beach city.
Oh, my, plus just the word archipelago.
I love that word so much.
Such a fun word to say.
Yeah.
Like focaccia.
What?
like the bread, like focaccia bread. If you go to like an Italian restaurant, it's like
I didn't know
it's like
that
that
word.
very like square topped. It almost looks like you baked it in a pan rather than like in a loaf.
Oh, okay.
And it's got like all kinds of like herbs and rosemary and stuff.
Gotcha,
in it.
gotcha.
But it's one of those words like sounds dirty even though it's not.
Well, archipelago just sounds like it's a hard word, but it feels so floaty at the same time.
It's just a great. There must be like a German word out there for the pleasure derived from the sound of a word coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
If someone knows it, please send it to us.
Someone knows it.
Someone out there does it.
But yeah, I'll just plug Wizard of Earthsea. And if you
Okay.
guys are interested in magic systems, Google hard magic and soft magic because it's super fascinating.
Yeah, maybe do that in like private mode, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
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 Just
And don't add wand to it.
oh, you know I'm going to.
A hard magic wand.
You know I am going for it.
Specifically, don't Google Harry's hard magic wand.
Oh, I'm going straight for it. Bring on that slash fic. I'm ready for it.
What have you been watching, listening, reading?
I have been kind of busy of late, so I don't really have much news. These are kind of weird plugs, but I guess technically these are my plugs. But you and I went to go see Jurassic Park last night
Yes, we did.
at the Hollywood Bowl with a live orchestra accompaniment. It's fantastic.
For those who have not been to LA or do not live in LA, over the summer at the Hollywood Bowl, the famous theater, they'll pick a couple movies, and the LA Philharmonic Orchestra will come and play alongside the movie, and it's always amazing.
It's really fantastic. I took my folks about a year ago to see A New Hope, which was amazing. This was amazing. I mean, obviously, the Jurassic Park score is
Every year they do a Harry
beautiful.
Potter movie.
It's true, they
so
do.
they're up to 6, I think, is next year.
I think so, yeah. I'm still mad that I missed out on going to see Star Trek '09 because that is my favorite score of all time.
They do a Disney film every year.
Yeah.
This year was Beauty and the Beast. No, this year was Little Mermaid.
This year they did Beauty and the Beast. When they do those, though,
That's not Philharmonic?
It's not the Philharmonic. I think it's a rented it out situation there.
Okay.
But also what happens there is that when they get to the musical numbers, they have a live cast come out and perform it.
And they're very fun.
They're really fun, yeah. So I went to Beauty and the Beast, and so it was Zooey Deschanel was Belle, Taye Diggs was Gaston, Rebel Wilson was LeFou.
That's right.
It was good.
Oh yeah, because I had tickets to that, but I couldn't go. I was out of town.
That's right. Yeah, it was a good show. But I mean, again, if you ever come to visit LA, it's weird because I always say that LA is actually not a great city to visit.
I agree.
Great city to live in. If you come out here, I would suggest try and time it around going to see something at the Bowl because it's a fantastic venue. It's huge, but they put on good shows. But we went and saw that last night. And how long had it been since you'd seen Jurassic Park? It's been a long time for me.
Years.
Yeah, been a long time. One of those movies that you remember like the last like third of really well because you just like found it on TV and would keep watching it. But it's been a long time since I've seen the
But
beginning.
you remember all the key moments.
Exactly,
You remember
yeah.
the water. You remember the spitting acid.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was so fun to watch it again and so fun to have the live orchestra. And then I was looking for a new book to read, something in the fiction space. 'Cause I like to have my fiction to turn my brain off in the evenings before I go to bed. And I'm like, you know what? I've never read Jurassic Park. So I'm just now starting to read Jurassic Park. Michael Crichton. Yeah.
Bryan Cranston.
Brian
Great
Cranston.
writer.
I mean, he's had a very storied career, Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. But because I've had this situation in the past before where I would go back and read the book and really enjoy it. So like The Bourne Identity, the book is drastically different than the movie, but it's really, really good. The Godfather, obviously an amazing
Have you read
film.
Fight Club?
I actually have read Fight Club. I read it in college.
'Cause I heard that was like a very different.
Yeah, I think I had seen Fight Club at that point, but I didn't see Fight Club till years after it came out.
Same.
I would be curious to go back and read that again. Actually, I think. But yeah, I think sometimes these movies that are classic films that are based off really good books, you go back and read the books, and unsurprisingly, they're really fucking good.
Yeah.
So just started that. That's really good. And then my last plug. It's not even really a plug, but it's partly an explanation. So part of the reason that Shane and I in particular last week were so energized when we did the Fast and the Furious podcast, I assure you, it was not because it was Fast and the Furious. It's because we had just come from a James Bond fantasy film draft.
Yes.
So I have said time and again that my favorite podcast is the James Bonding podcast with Messieurs Matt Gorley and Matt Myra. They did a Bond draft, which we basically recreated. So the way it works is that like you would do with a fantasy football draft where you go in, you have to pick a roster from amongst the league of a quarterback, a linebacker, a kicker, tight end, wide receiver.
2 more.
fallback?
Sure.
Is that one? I don't know. Give me credit for knowing that many of them.
That's a good number.
That's a surprising number. Just
Isn't that like a tailback? Is that one?
I think there might be a tailback.
No, the guy who catches it.
The catch. That's the wide receiver, right?
Okay.
Right.
No, off. I don't want to do this bit.
All right. We won't go down the bit of Cameron and I don't know sports because I think we actually know more than we let on. We also only know so much. Yeah, exactly. We have reached the legitimate limit of my football knowledge. But in the same way you would do that.
Do you draft the cheerleaders?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good.
And the coach.
I can do that.
Yeah. You draft the primary mascot.
Yes.
And sponsor as well.
I'd be good at that draft.
You would always pick Dr. Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
But you build a Bond film of all of the primary elements from amongst the film. So you have to cast one of the 6 actors who's played Bond. You have to cast a villain, a henchman, a Bond girl, a secondary Bond girl,
a car.
You have to cast which M actor you want, which Q actor you want. The gadget, all these sort of things. And you build a film and then you pitch what your film would be to the group and then you pick a winner. And I've been wanting to do this for a while. Our friend Mike Solari, who we met through Nerdist years ago, he and I kind of planned it together. He did the bulk of the work. He did an amazing job putting together this fantastic list of all of the different elements. And we all got together. Shane was a part of it, being a huge James Bond fan as well. And we drafted these movies. And I had the most...
You were glowing.
This was one of the most fun things I've ever done in my entire life. Legitimately one of the most fun things. Because, I mean, I was in a room of people who would get my most obscure Bond references. And, like, everyone was doing that. Everyone was making those references. And it's like, you're amongst really diehard Bond fans when, like, a Valentin Zukovsky pick upsets other people because they wanted him. Mm-hmm. It was the most fun thing ever. Had a fucking blast doing it. When I talk about it, the energy comes back to me. We're going to do this again. If I can make it work, I would love to actually record it and put it out as a random bonus thing for Timm Talk as a podcast. If you're a James Bond fan, I highly recommend trying to get a group of people together to do this. We're trying to figure out a way to do it as well. Maybe as a Batman one that we're trying to figure out the logistics on.
We can do it.
I think we can. It's you have to pick a franchise that has a lot to draw from, and we've had so many different actors to play Batman. I think it could be done. So we're gonna try and make that happen at some point down the line. But yeah, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, go listen to the James Bonding fantasy film drafts because they are fucking spectacular, and go do one yourself. So that is my very random plug for the week. And I think with that, we're done.
We're going to call it?
I think we're going to call it. Yeah. It's been a good episode.
We did it.
It's been a fun time.
128.
I know.
Cross it off the list.
Exactly. So much beard talk.
Yes. Where can they find us, Chris?
They can find us at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Gmail. And the podcast is available on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify.
Wow, you got them all.
I know. I had to get all of it in there. Cameron, where can they find your social media?
If you want to see my face and my future D23 activities.
It's true. Coming up next weekend.
You can find that at CamDexter_adventures. And if you want to see my art and that archived page that it is, you can find that at Cameron.Dexter.
Beautiful.
Where can they find you?
You can find me at Lordifer on Instagram and Twitter.
Why are you like a third string Kermit the Frog?
I don't know.
I hate it.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Please don't let that deter you from ever coming back.
Bye.
We wouldn't be upset if you never came back after that. Bye, guys.
Bye.